My favorite new thing for this movie is that we had so many specialty sequences, very much written around the sight gag, and not so much about people saying what they're feeling.
Less important is the dialogue that's being said, and more important is the situation. We started to come up with sequences that are more physical, more visual, and you could see the movie changing and becoming much bigger than anything we've ever done.
When there's no dialogue, you have to work a little bit harder to tell the story. So you have to work a little bit harder to sort of direct the eye. Little minor expressions like a smile or the way that the eyes are looking, those are actually more important in scenes that don't have dialogue. There's quite a few sequences in this film that actually have little to no dialogue. One of them is the what we call the death walk sequence. It's this sort of cat and mouse game where Drac is oblivious to what is going on around him because he's so into these dance moves that he's doing.
First we had to start by figuring out what kind of dance it was going to be, and there's a lot of subtlety in there as far as like how a person is dancing and moving. On top of that, you have all the comedy layering of Erica trying to catch him or hurt him as he's dancing around, and he's always not getting caught over and over again, and Blobby's taking most of the brunt of it.
I'd always wanted to do the dance sequence that actually had limited dialogue or no dialogue, and really use the music and really use the rhythm of the scene to really develop something that's really funny that I think audiences are going to react strongly to. There's a couple other sequences that have limited or zero dialogue in them, and one of those is the underwater volcano.
Underwater Volcano was fun because we got to see how each character moved underwater. They all had sort of silly breathing apparatuses. We're sort of accustomed to their character. You know, we normally have to worry about regular on-land physics, but having the characters all floating all the time gave us some new territory to see how we would pose and shape them. That plus the lack of dialogue gave for some interesting shot choreography and sight gags.
All the while, we're interacting with these amazing sea creatures like manta rays and whales in this really unique environment. In the sequence, Everyone Follows Everyone, it's this really elaborate chase. We actually get to go underwater, it's all subterranean. It looks nothing like what the rest of Atlantis looks like. And what it ends up turning into is that Drac follows Erica, and then it actually ends up saving her life.
Everyone's sneaking around, and most people don't know there's someone behind them while they're following someone else. So the way they act from character to character is different. In Old Atlantis, Erica and Dracula are dancing their way through the booby traps, and he's absorbing all the damaging effects of the booby traps, and it's not causing him an issue because he's a vampire. The more comfortable they get with that, the more it becomes more of a dance. It was a lot of fun playing with their relationship at that point and seeing how they are getting comfortable with each other.
The third act involves a lot of destruction. But I think the most exciting thing about it was that it involved a lot of really pushed animation and sort of a different palette. Like we had this really red, rich palette that we got to explore. And there was a lot of really big camera moves that we got to do, really long shots. And it also involved a lot of effects animation.
The effects department is very math-based in a lot of ways, so when they do their waves and explosions and things like that, and the overall scale of the Kraken is so large that when he does a gesture like this, it could be, you know, the speed of sound. When if you were to actually measure it, they had to tailor all of their calculations and simulations to that.
We actually have tentacles that are ripping through rock and actually reaching the water. We have these big set pieces where we actually have the Kraken sitting next to the party island and raising its tentacles and creating these really unique looking shots that I hadn't had a chance to do before. I was really excited about creating.
I think having less dialogue in general was a lot of fun for the animators because it was up to us to express certain things with the posing and the shapes, whether it's silly or dramatic at times. But it really pushed the visual angle of it a lot more, and it gave us a lot more room to have fun and do silly things with those characters.
To see movement and animation and rhythm and pacing and timing and music and effects all working together to execute this one simple idea, that comes, you know, through the whole process. Once we start animating, all of a sudden you see it instantly come alive, and then you start to realize, oh yeah, this is going to work great.